Night Party. The Dark Pass. It was the last days of winter. The sky was covered with thick clouds, and the wind was rustling the trees near the old cemetery. A young man named Yusuf, who lived on the outskirts of the village, was returning from the market in the evening. He usually walked along the main road, but this time, to save time, he chose the old pass. People said different things about this pass. Don't go there at night. Sometimes you hear strange sounds. Sometimes you see lights. Yusuf didn't believe such things. People are afraid for no reason. He laughed. But now, as he walked alone in the darkness, these words came back to him one by one. The wind suddenly picked up. In the distance, he heard the howling of dogs. Yusuf involuntarily quickened his pace. At that moment, he heard something. Music. Music coming from a very far distance. At first, he thought it was the sound of the wind. But no, it was definitely music. Drums, trumpets, laughter, as if a big wedding was taking place. Who is having a party here? Yusuf stopped. He looked around. Nothing could be seen except darkness. But the music seemed to be getting closer and closer. The young man's heart began to beat faster. At that moment, flashing lights appeared in the distance. They were coming from the hill behind the cemetery. Could it be? Curiousness overcame fear, and Yusuf walked towards the lights. He did not yet know that this decision would change his life. Lights on the hill. As Yusuf climbed the hill, the music began to sound louder. Hundreds of candles were burning in the darkness. Even from the distance, it looked like a large palace. But there could be no palace here. He reached the top of the hill, and he gasped. Below, a huge party was going on. People were dancing. Songs were being sung. Golden lights were lighting up the place. Long tables, luxurious clothes, laughing guests, as if it were a palace from a fairy tale. Where did this come from? Yusuf could not believe his eyes. At that moment, a man dressed in white approached him. Will you be a guest? Yusuf looked at him in surprise. Who are you? The stranger laughed. Travelers, night guests. Come. Yusuf hesitated. The voice inside him said, Go. This is the wrong place. But curiosity won out again. And he walked towards the party. At that moment, the face of the moon emerged from the clouds behind the hill. But Yusuf did not see it, because his gaze was already drawn into the mysterious party. Strange guests. As soon as Yusuf entered the party, he felt as if he had fallen into another world. The people here were very beautiful, extremely beautiful. There was not a single flaw on their faces. Their eyes were strangely bright, and their laughter seemed somehow artificial. They handed Yusuf a drink in a golden cup. "Drink. You are our guest." He took the cup, but he didn't drink. Then the old man in front of him stared at him. "Why don't you drink?" "I'm not thirsty." The old man's smile disappeared for a moment. Then it returned, but now it looked more like a threat than a laugh. Yusuf's heart began to feel uneasy. The people around him also gradually began to look strange. They had no shadows, even though the candles were burning. They had no shadows. Yusuf's body broke out in a cold sweat. "I have to go." At that moment, the music at the party suddenly stopped. Everyone looked at him. Suddenly, at the same time, and with the same smile. For the first time, the young man felt real fear, because these people were not ordinary people. Shadowless people. Yusuf wanted to retreat, but his feet seemed to be stuck to the ground. Hundreds of people at the party were staring at him. The music had stopped. The laughter was disappeared. Only the flames of the candles were crackling. "I have to go home," Yusuf said. His voice trembled. The man in white laughed softly. "Don't rush. The party is just beginning." The people around him laughed too, but this laughter was not human laughter. It sounded strange, like dry bones hitting each other. Yusuf could hear his heart beating. Suddenly, his gaze fell on a distant table. The old man sitting there was staring at him without taking his eyes off him. But the most terrifying thing, the old man had no pupils. His eyes were white, absolutely white. Yusuf shuddered in horror. At that moment, a wind blew. The flames of the fire in the middle of the feast rose high, and for a moment, the true faces of the guests were visible. Their faces were elongated. Their eyes were unnatural. The lips were excessively long. Then everything was back to the way it was. "No, this must be a dream," the voice inside him screamed. "Run! Run now!" But in which direction? The people around him had already blocked his path. Then someone stood up from behind the largest table in the center of the feast. Everyone suddenly fell silent, as if that man was the master of this place. He was tall. He was dressed in black, and his gaze was icy. "Our guest seems to be scared." Yusuf did not answer. "Don't be scared. We are just having a party." But when he heard his voice, Yusuf's body froze, because this voice did not sound like a human voice. It was as if hundreds of voices were mixed together at the same time. "Ancient secret." The man in black called Yusuf to him. "Come, Yusuf reluctantly approached. The guests around him were clearing the way. "What's your name?" "Yusuf." "How old are you?" 23. The man in black nodded. "You are young, so you don't know much yet." Yusuf found the courage to ask, "Who are you?" The party around him fell silent again. The man in black laughed. Many people asked this question. And then they regretted their answer. Yusuf swallowed. At that moment, the fire in the center of the feast rose again. Strange images began to appear in the flames. Ancient times, all the battles, deserts, caravans, lost people. The man in black began to speak, staring into the fire. "Centuries ago, there was a great city here, a rich city, but people became greedy. Cruelty increased, lies increased, betrayal increased, and one night, everything disappeared." Yusuf stared at the scenes in the fire. "Disappeared?" "Yes." "Where?" The man in black looked at him. "Here, among us." Yusuf's throat went dry. "So you..." The man in black smiled. "You finally understand." At that moment, everyone at the party suddenly looked at him, and they said in unison, "Now you will stay with us too." Yusuf retreated in horror. "Escape." "No!" Yusuf screamed. "I will not stay." He turned around and ran. The party suddenly fell into chaos. The music started again, but it was no longer cheerful. It was terrifying. It sounded like a scream. Yusuf was running down the hill. Behind him, hundreds of footsteps could be heard. "Catch him! Don't let him go! You can't leave the party!" The wind picked up. The moon hid behind the clouds. The darkness thickened. Yusuf kept running. Suddenly, his foot caught on a stone. He fell. He rolled down. His head hit something hard. His vision went black. But at that moment, the sound of the morning call to prayer was heard from afar. Once, twice, a third time. Suddenly, all sounds disappeared. The sounds of footsteps, the music, the screams. The surroundings became completely silent. Dawn. When Yusuf opened his eyes, dawn was breaking. The sky was pink. Birds were chirping. There was no one around. No party, no lights, no guests. Only the old hill, dry grass, and the cemetery. Yusuf slowly got up. Did I dreaming? but his hands were still shaking. His heart was still beating fast. He slowly climbed to the top of the hill. He looked at the place where the party had been held yesterday, and he gasped. There were hundreds of old grey stones on the ground, exactly where the party had been held. A chill ran through Yusuf's body. He ran towards the village without looking back. The wind was blowing behind him, as if someone was whispering. But this time, he did not look back, because some secrets can be known, but they cannot be returned. The final warning. Years passed. Yusuf grew old. He had children. He had grandchildren. But he never forgot that night. Sometimes the village youth would ask him, "Grandpa, why don't you go to the hill at night?" Yusuf would look away. The old fear was awakening in his eyes. Not every path is for a person. Not every lamp leads a person to goodness. Sometimes the most dangerous thing is not darkness. Maybe the charm in the darkness. The young people laughed, but Yusuf knew. Some laughter is like the laughter at the party. And every time on windy nights, he looked out the window towards the hill. Sometimes, very far away, the flickering lights would be visible again, as if someone was partying again in the depths of the night. And the wind whispered, "The party is not over yet." Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this to your loved ones to support our channel.